Let us pray. Dear God, Lord of our lives, it's your word that teaches us that righteousness exalts a nation, while sin is a disgrace to any people. So we pray for all of our councilmen and women, our mayor, our judges, and all our leaders in our city government, that they might regard the public trust that they have received as a solemn pledge and serve as examples of honesty and prudence. Lord, keep them from actions that would bring disgrace or would hurt our people, our citizens in some way, but rather instill in them that desire to defend the rights and responsibilities of all. And give us wise and God-fearing leaders in this city who will lead with courage and conviction. We pray all this, of course, through Jesus, the Christ, our Lord and Savior, who with you, Father, and the Holy Spirit lives and rules forever. And all God's people can say, Amen.
Please stand, turn for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Council, I will ask that you remember to turn your mic on when you speak this evening for the benefit of those who aren't in attendance but are watching it on TV. At this time, Ms. Kelton, will you perform roll call?
Ms. Cruth,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
that's embarrassing.
Happy birthday, dear Gina. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Ms. Cruth, Mr. Harris,
Here.
Mr. Tripp,
Happy birthday, Gina.
thank you, Sean.
Happy birthday here.
Mr. Olson, Mr. Harrell,
Happy birthday.
thank you. Mr. Westcott,
Yes, ma'am. Happy birthday.
Mr. Brown,
Happy birthday.
Mr. Keller,
Happy birthday, Gina.
Mayor Harris,
Happy birthday, Gina.
Trey Smith,
Here, happy birthday.
Gina Skelton, thank you.
All right. I love embarrassing our city clerk. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Council, in your packet, you do have the minutes from the September 16th meeting of the City Council. What is the desire of the council?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I do have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Caruth. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this time, Ms. Johnson, will you provide the financial report?
City of Russellville Financial Report. General fund revenues for September were $1,162,602. This is 10% above budget. Tax receipts were $948,499. Franchise fees and permits were $46,674. Tax revenue comparison. In 2021, for city sales tax, we've received $3,852,735 compared to last year when we received $3,436,615. So we have an increase over prior year for city sales tax of 12%. At the county level, we received $4,463,703 compared to last year, same time period, $3,966,409. So it's a 13% increase over last year. And when you look at it over budget, we're running well ahead of budget. The city is 11% and county is 15%. September expenditures for the general fund were $976,195, which is 5% below budget, $1,811,019 more received than spent. September revenues for the street fund were $819,203. New sales tax was $592,917. State turnback and ad valorem tax was $153,856. Half-cent road sales tax was $57,746. Interest was $13,953. Street cutting permits was $400, and miscellaneous was $331. Street operating revenue is 0.43% below year-to-date projections. Street fund expenditures for operations in September were $146,194. Capital spending was $76,727 for 27 traffic controllers. Half-cent sales tax was $169,550 for the Schoolhouse Trail Phase 1. And sales tax was $80,755 for downtown drainage improvements, drainage maintenance, 10th and Denver drainage project, COE project, and overlay. September revenues for the economic development funds was $124,655. This is made up of new sales tax of $84,702, funds transfers of $38,000, interest of $1,953. September expenditures were $252,360. We purchased 4 police vehicles and their equipment for $196,557. We purchased 2 vehicles for Parks and Recs for $51,092, and we paid Arkansas Valley Alliance $4,711. Balance of the various economic development funds as September 30th, 2021. The 2003 fund is $1,533,434.08. The 2007 fund is $1,019,429. The 2014 fund is $788,269.32. The 2021 fund is $639,938.52. I've added a new total. The economic development funds total is $3,981,071. September revenues for capital assets was $300,158. There was fund transfers for the airport hangar and apron project, $272,548. The aquatic center doors and AC units were $15,712. The Hickey Pool engineering leak detection, $11,706, and interest of $192. The September expenditures were $33,742. There was a hangar purchase of $25,000, planning department flooring $5,936, and Hickey Pool expenses of $2,806. The 2021 1-cent sales tax receipts to date for the street fund was $4,213,873, none of which has been spent. For RFD, RPD capital, we received $601,950. We spent $131,358, so there's a balance of $470,592. For the parks, we received $601,918. We spent $72,428 for a balance of $529,490. For economic development, we received $639,939, and none has been spent. Any questions?
Ms. Johnson, I do have a quick question. On one of your first 2 or 3 slides, you talked about a $38,000 ED transfer.
Funds transfer.
What is that exactly?
That is just moving money that was, actually, a check was cut in the wrong fund, and so we had to transfer the funds to cover it.
So it's just an in-house
Yeah.
housekeeping thing?
Yeah.
Just to,
Yes,
it
sir.
wasn't, it was to put it in the right account, basically.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, moving on in the agenda. At this time, Mayor's report. And Council, you've been presented a copy of the 2019 Legislative Audit Report. And to ensure that we meet the requirements of the audit, we will need to get acknowledgement that you have received this report. So, Ms. Skelton, would you do a roll call? And just answer in the affirmative or not whether you have received this report.
Ms. Caruth? Ms. Caruth,
I don't think so.
it was emailed to you. It was emailed to you, and then it was also in this packet.
On the city thing?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I got it. Sorry.
You got it? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
Mr. Westcott,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Keller,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Olson's not here, Mayor Harris,
Yes.
Trey. I don't know if you have.
We don't need
James.
confirmation from
All
you.
right, we're good.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I do have a question, since Mr. Olson is not here tonight. We don't have a record that he has received this information. How would we best proceed? Yeah, it says each member must acknowledge is what it states here. So we'll get, if we can get, I think if we can get a confirmation email from Mr. Olson that we can put in records, would that work? Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to department reports. At this time, we have Steve Mallett from City Corps. Thank you, Steve, for being here.
Thank you. Good evening to everyone. Some of you, if you've been here in the past few times I've presented, this is very similar information. I've just updated a lot of it and brought it up to speed. I think one thing that you'll notice through my presentation is that we're quickly wrapping up on a lot of the projects that we've taken over and obviously in due part to the council approving a lot of bond issuances and approving capital projects programs that we've executed over the last few months. So I'm just going to provide a quick update on where we are. Before I get into that, our Huckleberry Creek Reservoir is currently 7 feet down from being full. As we head into fall, that is a good spot to be. Coming out of summer and only be down 7 feet presents no issues or concerns for us at this point. I'm assuming we'll get plenty of rain, and if we are not topped off by spring of next year, we'll be able to pump from the bayou into the lake. So no concerns there. Everything looks good. As is the case with the city, we have a very good financial picture as of right now. We finished the 2020-21 budget approximately $1.5 million better than budgeted. We were up a little bit in revenues, $200,000, but the lion's share of that overage was $1.3 million, a decrease in expenses, and that was almost entirely related to the fact that we did all the conferences were canceled, no training, very little fuel other than what we absolutely had. A big part of that was to put off maintenance items such as tank painting and pump station rehab because we couldn't get contractors to do those things. So a lot of that, obviously, that didn't happen last year, we'll have to get caught up on this year and over the next few years. So I wish we could have numbers like that every year. So I guess if there is any silver lining to what we went through last year, it is that we're in a good financial shape, better than we planned on being at this time. And we have totally completed phase one of the capital improvements plan that was funded through $49 million that we issued through the council approval of the bond issuance in 2015. And we are very near completion of the phase two of the capital improvements plan funded through bond issuance in 2018 of $25 million. Just a list of all the projects that were included in phase one that have been accomplished to date. I'm not going to go through them all, but we had the bottom one I'll note was the 1 million gallon tank in the industrial area that was complete. And of all the things we did there, I think that's the only one that anybody would actually see when they drive around. So other than construction going on, which is not our favorite, that's one of the things, and obviously that's the two pictures at the top is the final product. The one on the right, obviously, is the logo that the city partnered with us to put on. The one on the left was the logo that the A&P Commission partnered with us to put on. And the tank in the middle bottom is the 2 million gallon tank that we built at our plant that has allowed us a lot of flexibility in taking our plant offline and still providing water to town. So those are the few of the ones that you can actually see of the $40+ million that was spent, but I'm sure y'all have, and I know I have received a lot of positive comments from the landmark tank that we have now built on Interstate 40, and that'll be there for years to come. The wastewater projects, you'll notice that all of those are complete as well. We'll note again on the bottom of the list, we have the I-40 gravity sewer south that went through the Arkansas Tech pasture. Again, want to make sure that we thank the mayor, current mayor and past mayor, for allowing us to apply for a $1.7 million grant through the city for EDA money that we have received in full upon completion of that project. So again, that's money that we could use towards other projects that we wouldn't have been able to apply for without you folks working with us. Phase two projects that I mentioned, we have phase two water and wastewater projects have been funded and are in process. These were all included in a rate plan that was approved by the City Court Board and you folks in 2015. So the good news is we have not proposed any increases over and above what was approved back then, and we are comfortably exceeding the debt coverage ratio that is required by the bond language. In other words, we have more than enough money in the bank to pay the bills and pay the bond payments as they come due, and we actually have some cushion over and above that. So obviously, all the bondholders are concerned that we're able to pay our debts, and right now we are comfortably able to do so and see no reason for that to change. We had $4.8 million dedicated to water improvements. We're nearing completion with the work done at the water treatment plant. We had a $4 million project to basically rehab a lot of the items that we had at the plant that have been needed to be looked at for quite some time. We redid a couple of our holding tanks and clear wells and pumps and reconfigured our pumps so we could have a little bit more flexibility in operations. And then the only project that we still basically have on the books and in design is the project for downtown utility replacement. And we have $830,000 set aside for the water portion of the work to be done. And again, that's the only project that still remains incomplete. Last collection system on the wastewater side, we have the $15.8 million worth of projects. We are now under construction with the last collection system rehab project. So we expect to be done with that in the middle of 2022, and that will wrap up all of the major construction projects that we've seen going on in just about every neighborhood across the city. The public has been more than patient with us. We try to do as best we can, keeping people moved, keeping roads open. But I know everybody, including us, will be glad to see all these projects come to an end. And I think, hopefully, in all the cases, everybody agrees that the streets and drainage, when we leave in conjunction with working with Public Works, hopefully was better product than what we started with. And I know a lot of people have thanked us. Didn't like the construction going on, but we're thankful for the product when we leave. And again, we want to thank Public Works for working with us on that. We have the only other remaining project is the manhole rehab project of $1.8 million that's currently under construction. And again, the wastewater portion of the downtown project is still in design. That's a picture on the left of our clear well, which is basically an underground holding tank at our water plant. And you see the columns that basically holds up the roof and some decay on the concrete and the color of the floors and some staining. And on the right is a complete sealing of the walls and repainting and coating of the pillars. And we're actually adding the black that you see there is an actual curtain that allows the water to be rerouted instead of just a straight pass through. And we pick up some advantages for chlorine contact time, which allows us to reduce the amount of chlorine that we use at the plant. So that's just a couple pictures of no one in the company has ever seen the inside of that tank until this year because we haven't been able to take it offline because we didn't have the 2 million gallon tank that I showed earlier. So having that tank allowed us to do this work that was well overdue. The only other project we have going on right now is the wastewater plant improvements project. We just executed a contract with Van Horn Construction for $14.5 million work that is not only going to address flow and treatment related issues that were made available or made known to us through the consent administrative order that was issued back in 2009. And it is our expectation that by the middle of next year, we'll have everything completed that we told them we would do. And this really goes above and beyond this. It actually addresses some growth. It gives us some room to grow for the coming years. But we feel no reason to think that we won't be released from that order by this time next year. Two other notable items that I'll mention before I wrap up. We hired Holly Hall as our new public information specialist, and one of the first things we had her tasked was to do some research for a public notification system. We did receive some bad press. Recently we had a bull order that was a rather large bull order, and the good news is we don't normally have to deal with that because we don't usually have bull orders of that size, but we realized that we struggled with getting notification out to that many people at once. And so obviously the technology exists for us to be able to contact people by phone, by email, or by text. And so we picked the software that ATU and Polk County also uses, so to be consistent with that, and they're happy, and they've done their vetting as well. So we have moved forward with that, and we hope within the coming weeks we'll have a system that I would assume that the city is more than welcome to partner with us and use for announcements that they may have in certain areas. It does allow us to geographically select certain areas with a boundary, and it would only contact people that are affected in those neighborhoods instead of contacting everybody and them having to go online to see if it actually affects them or not. You wouldn't be notified unless you're in the area that was affected. It allows us to tailor-make, obviously, our message to all these folks. So we're looking forward to that and hoping that that really helps address some of the issues we had during those outages. The only other item I'll mention before I close is the Dover wastewater system. You may have read in the paper that Dover struggled, as we have, for the same reasons. They have leaks in their wastewater system through manholes, pipes, and they have old antiquated pump stations that they struggle to maintain, as we have in the past. They have received grant money to do a survey, and they have surveyed their system, and now they're looking for grant money to make repairs to the system, which would include replacing of 4 pump stations between Dover and the point where they connect to us, because we treat all of the Dover systems of wastewater. So we've had conversations, the mayor and I and Mayor Lee have had conversations about what we need to do and work together to be able to open up for development between here and Dover, because right now with the capacity issues they have, they're not allowing anybody to tie on to that system, which pretty much stagnates any growth we may have for residential or commercial between here and Dover. So hopefully as we continue to move forward and they fix their system, their bills will go down. And in the meantime, and then we may be able to talk about partnering or some way that one of us can allow people to tie on and develop in that area. These are the same unfunded items that I mentioned in my last report. We've still got a secondary water source that we're looking at, and at some point we'll have to move forward with that. A lot of water lines that need to be replaced at some point in the future. No deadline on that, but it's something that is on the forefront and we need to keep in mind. And we'll have to fund these projects by future capital reserves, years like this where we are able to put more money in our savings account. That helps. A reallocation of any surplus bond money that we may have, but that's coming to an end pretty quick. Possible future sales tax extension down the road. And of course, last but not least, hopefully we're not looking at having to increase any rates or fees. No reason to think anytime soon that we'd be needing to do that based on all the information that I provided tonight. And one final note, we once again were chosen as best drinking water in Arkansas at the Arkansas Rural Water State Conference. Through our partnership with Tri-County, we can claim that we serve a rural area outside of Russellville, so we submit the water kind of in a partnership with them. So now we'll get to compete in the national competition in Washington, D.C. this coming February, so hopefully we'll do well there. And this is the second time we've actually qualified to go to Washington, D.C. for the national contest. So with that, I just want to thank everybody, obviously the council and all of our customers and that we serve and in our surrounding area for your continued support, and I'll entertain any questions that you might have.
What secondary water sources are you looking at?
Well, the ones we've looked at is Hackers Creek was one that was pointed out in a study that was done a few years back. That would be a very expensive and it's quite a ways. We looked at the North Fork of the Illinois Bayou, impounding an area up there. Obviously, that's in the National Forest Service. There's all kinds of hurdles that we would have to jump through to be able to do anything on Forest Service property, or National Forest property, I'm sorry. And, you know, obviously, we've got the lake. There's a treatment that can deal with very dirty lake water. That's probably the least of our desired options with all the other options that we have available. And if we can get another impoundment like Huckleberry, obviously there's a reason we get the best drinking water in North America at one time. It's because it starts at the lake. And so obviously we're spoiled now. We'd hate to go backwards, and we'd like to have another one just like that at some point in the future. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have any boxes of cold fish left from Tuesday night that I missed?
No, it all went out. It all went
Okay.
out in buckets. You might find somebody that's got a to-go box in the refrigerator, though. But we appreciate you folks.
Yeah.
Any other question?
Just want to say that I absolutely love the idea of the integrating the technology into the messaging and being able to target affected areas so that doesn't have to just be a blanket statement, but you're able to actually get to those individuals that are directly affected. And I would love for there to be a dialogue with the city and Citicorp on developing that future messaging app or that technology so that we would be able to piggyback with each other on issues like that.
Yeah, and
I think that would be a great partnership on that.
Yeah, and the advantage that we have that not very many other folks, we have a current database with current contact information that can populate that. You know, if the city were to do it on their own, they'd have to rely on people to sign up for that service and enter in their data. And that just does not have a very good response. So we already have the raw data that we can use for that. Obviously for specific emergency purposes, which is why they gave it to us to use. So, yeah, we'll be more than happy to have that discussion. The mayor and I have already talked about it a little bit up to this point as it is.
Thank you, Mr. Mallett.
Sir.
Okay, moving on in the agenda, at this time, Personnel Committee, Chairperson, Mr. Harrell, do you have anything?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we tentatively scheduled to review the salary schedule for street department, and a little miscommunication on that with notifying the press, because I know they love to be at all of those meetings during the day. So we will reschedule that in conjunction with the salary schedule for street department. We will review the request from the fire department, and we'll be calling that meeting not next week, but the following week.
Thank you, Mr. Harrell. At this time, I will turn the floor over to Mr. Westcott for the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. From our meeting last Tuesday, item number 1 is consideration of a resolution of the City Council of Russellville certifying local government endorsement of Arkansas Bioenergy LLC to participate in the tax back program, and we present that as a motion to adopt.
I do have a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2 is consideration of a resolution that would establish a petty cash fund system for certain offices and departments within the city. And we present item number 2 as a motion to adopt.
Thank you for that motion. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 3 is consideration of a resolution that would authorize the finance director to close certain accounts with Centennial Bank due to inactivity, no longer necessary, or having a zero balance. And we present item number 3 as a motion to adopt.
Thank you for that motion. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4 is consideration of a resolution that would authorize the mayor, city clerk, treasurer, and the director of Parks and Recreation to apply for a 50-50 matching grant with the Arkansas Department of Parks and Tourism to be used to build a playground at Sequoia Park. Can we present item number 4 as a motion to adopt?
I have a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5 is an appropriation request from the city street fund sales tax improvements, the sum of $70,988.87 to be used for the 2021 sidewalk connectivity project. And we present item number 5 as a motion to adopt.
I have a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 6 is consideration for reimbursement for the Russellville Boys and Girls Club for the third quarter 2021 expenses in the amount of $20,000 in accordance with their contracts, and we present item number 6 as a motion to adopt.
Motion. Any discussion? Sorry?
There was a question about when did we go from $15,000 to $20,000 per quarter?
As I recall, we have a maximum amount of, how much is it per year?
70.
70. So-
What's 50?
That would have been 2019.
It was 50, so and then went up.
So the
That
620,
agreement was originated with, when we increased it 3 or 4 years ago to 70,000, but we capped it the quarterly so that it would actually, if the expenses were there, validated expenses were there to reimburse, it would allow the majority of it to happen within the first 3 quarters of the year and just have a smaller remaining portion in the 4th quarter. That's how the contract is structured for Main Street and Boys Girls Club both.
Correct.
thank you for that question and that clarification, Mr. Tripp. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
From our meeting this evening, items number 1 and 1A together. It's an appropriation request from the general fund year-end carry-forward balance, the sum of $89,000 to be used to fund the engineering services for the repair at Hickey Pool that we've discussed, and we present those as a motion to adopt.
I have a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2 is an appropriation request from the City General Fund Reserve, the sum of $12,330.10. This is an insurance pass-through for a vehicle accident. We present item number 2 as a motion to adopt.
I have a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 3 is consideration of a resolution that would authorize the donation of surplus personal property to the City of Pottsville, Arkansas. We present item number 3 as a motion to adopt.
Thank you for that motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4 is consideration of a resolution that would accept the bid from Hard Rock Construction for the 2021 sidewalk connectivity project that we just approved the funding, or for which we just approved the funding. And we present that as a motion to adopt.
Thank you for that motion. Mr. Newman, isn't there a discrepancy on the resolution versus the appropriation on this issue? Would you step up to the mic, please?
Yes, sir, there was a small discrepancy between the appropriation and the original resolution, but I believe Mr. Westcott, during the motion on the previous item, has those two matching now.
Okay, so the resolution is correct as presented to the council.
Yes, sir, the resolution is correct, presented to council based on the appropriation that was Mr. Westcott just approved.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5 is consideration for reimbursement of the quarterly reimbursement for Main Street, Russellville, in the amount of $15,000. And we present item number 5 as a motion to adopt.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Westcott. At this time, we will move on to unfinished old business. And the first item for discussion, well, we have no items for old business, so moving on to new business. Item number 1, consideration of a resolution to make the City of Russellville, Arkansas, a sanctuary city for the unborn and for other purposes, submitted by Mr. Harrell.
Mr. Mayor, I brought this back after the first time for us to reconsider. I think that's important for us to take stands on certain issues, and I am definitely a pro-life individual. I believe that life begins at conception, and where this resolution has no legal binding, I think it shows value to human life, the unborn that is unprotected, and I would ask for the council to pass this resolution, making Russellville one of the cities that have already adopted this resolution.
So I have a motion from Mr. Harrell. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mr. Harris. Discussion, and we do have an individual that has signed up to speak today. This is Mr. Ken Yang. Would you please come up and talk with the council? State your name and what business you're in, Mr. Yang.
Well, thank you. My name is Ken Yang, and I appreciate y'all for allowing me to speak tonight and to be here in Russellville. I wear many hats. I'm actually from Benton, Arkansas, born and raised. My parents fled communist China in 1949. They came here to Arkansas in the 80s, and they became American citizens. They own their own restaurant for over 30 years in Saline County. I'm actually and I'm real proud of that because I live the American dream every day. Just by the fact that I get to speak in front of y'all is part of the American dream for me. And so I'm the Director of Governmental Affairs of Arkansas Family Council, a Christian nonprofit based in Little Rock. I'm also the Chairman of the Saline County Republican Committee. I'm also the President of the Arkansas Republican County Chairmen's Association, where I represented all 74 Republican chairmen here in the state of Arkansas. Some may immediately think, well, he doesn't live here. He doesn't pay taxes here. So what do we care what he has to say? But this is just that important that I'm up here today, because I would contend that the majority of the 62 million unborn babies that have been aborted do not live in one particular town or one particular city or state, and they deserve a voice. Back during this past legislative session, the legislature passed Act 392, and it's a law now. You have the protection of law that allows municipalities and counties like the city of Russellville to declare themselves pro-life, protecting life from conception to natural death. The new law allows the cities and the counties to declare themselves pro-life and have signs on streets, highways, and on city and county property, monuments, memorials, so on and so forth, public advertising for the city or the county, which I hope Russell will do after it passes this resolution tonight. 8 states now have done the same thing of doing this law. Arkansas has 10 counties, including Polk County, that has declared themselves as pro-life counties. There are 2 cities, Springdale, and most recently Marianna, that declared themselves as pro-life cities, and I hope Russellville will be the 3rd. It is now more important than ever to pass this resolution here in Russellville to continue the momentum of cities declaring themselves pro-life. As you may know, in Texas recently they passed the heartbeat bill. That bill that has withstood court scrutiny has now saved over 3,000 unborn babies in the state of Texas. And so what's happening now? The people in Texas that are for abortion are looking towards Arkansas to come get their abortion. And we don't want Arkansas to be the abortion mill of the South. At least I don't want it. And so it's time to send a message to your neighboring cities, your neighboring counties and states that you are pro-life. I'll share one quick story. I have a lapel pin right here. If you just look at it, you know that it looks like feet, baby feet. And I get asked, what are those? These are baby feet. You can tell. They're baby feet at 10 weeks. You can tell that unborn children in the womb have limbs. And I told my sister I was coming here earlier this week. She suffered from a miscarriage not too long ago. And her body expelled her unborn baby that was at 12 weeks old. She held her baby that had limbs, that had beating, that had a heart, that had arms, legs, a head. That's what we're protecting. That's what y'all are standing up for. It's for those women like my sister who now can no longer have children because of her miscarriage and having to have a procedure. That wasn't choice. She didn't get to choose that she no longer gets to have children. You know, I did mention that I was a Republican, and actually I know many of you are too, at least based on your primary voting record. Just looking that up, you would think so. But this is not just a political issue. This is a life issue, a Christian issue. Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet and unto the nations. I want to thank Councilman Rick Harrell for presenting this resolution, for all those that are going to support it. And I'll end with this quote real quick, only 4 sentences. Martin Niemöller said, "First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me." Please speak for the unborn tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, any discussion? Hearing none?
Mr. Harrell, as the sponsor of the resolution, I have a question for you. What are the plans to, under, Act 3? Under the provisions outlined in Act 392, what are the plans how is the city to promote this?
How does the city promote?
How is the city going to promote this? In Section 2, it says that the city will, quote, "promote and protect the dignity of humanity of all persons at all stages of life from conception until natural death." It says in there that we will promote this. How?
Passing the resolution shows that we are promoting our faith in the unborn child having rights to live. Whether there's any money, is that what you're asking? Are there any money going to be spent on that? I'm not promoting any money to be spent. I
So
think that the resolution speaks for itself as being promoted as a pro-life city.
So there are no plans to spend any money now or in the future?
I have no plans to spend any money on this venture.
Okay, what if a third party decided to print up a bunch of signs and give it to the city? Now, that wouldn't be the city using its funds, but it would be promoting it on its property. Would that be something that would be authorized under this resolution?
That's already authorized in the state resolution.
If we pass it? Is that something is that the plans of, as the sponsor of this resolution, is that the plan to promote it as it states in here?
I think, Mr. Keller, I already told you I have no plans to spend any money. If a group does that, that's a group that's going to come before the city. That's not me. That would be their right to bring that to the city.
Any other discussion?
Yes. A few things to address to the sponsor of this resolution. On the first page of this, you talk about, or it is expressed there, down at the very bottom, next to the last whereas, it says, whereas the Russellville City Council believes that human life begins at the moment of conception and continues uninterrupted until the moment of natural death. And my question to you regarding this line is, you speak of, or this is spelled out, the moment of natural death. It is not delineated anywhere in this what that means exactly, but I'm curious. I know that every medical facility in this city, every fireman, every policeman, every EMT, every day is determined to interfere with that moment of natural death. So I'm curious what you mean exactly by that and how exactly we should interfere and when we should not. If you're against any kind of interference, then a lot of medical professionals in town will be out of work. Also, on the next page, second page.
No, let's go back to that one.
Okay, let's go back to that. I'll pause for a moment.
And what's your concern about
My
this?
concern is, where it
let
says,
me-
until
let-
the moment of natural death, what does that mean exactly?
Well, before we get too far into this, every council member is right to state their case. I don't want us to get into a back and forth on the issues. So if you have a valid question, then we'll certainly entertain that. But I don't want to get into a back and forth between council members. Please state your case.
I redirect
and then-
my question to whoever can answer properly. Regarding this resolution where it says the moment of natural death, what does that mean for this resolution?
Well, in my opinion, what it's saying is that everyone has a right to that life up to natural death. If they have the right to be tended to by any emergency personnel, hospital doctor, to sustain that life, they're entitled to the life that they can live. At whatever stage that they find themselves in, they have that right to that life. But the purpose of the resolution is showing sanctuary city to the unborn, the child that's being carried by a woman.
I think I understand the intent of this, but since we operate solely on what is in print, it's not clear what the moment of natural death is that you're speaking to. And again, every medical facility in this town, every EMT, fireman, policeman is determined to interfere with that moment of natural death. So,
I think their intent is to sustain the life of the person that they're tended to.
okay.
So there's nothing wrong with that statement.
Let me ask a different line here. We're being asked to express an official opinion on behalf of the 30,000 residents of the city of Russellville, and I'm just curious, who did we ask? How did we determine the will of the 30,000 people, because it's only, as was expressed the last time this was brought up, it only takes 5 people up here to officially make a declaration of what your will is, whether you agree with it or not. So I'm just curious, if we're about to do this, and keep in mind right now it might be something you agree with, next week, next year, the players up here are going to change. And you may have 5 people with a completely different perspective make an official declaration and say that the city of Russellville is whatever. So who did we ask? How did we determine what the will of the people is? Number 2, knowing that it only takes 5 people up here, is there anybody up here, any of the 5, any 5 up here that has any kind of medical training regarding women's health at all? None.
This
None.
has nothing to do with a woman's
Okay.
health. This
Okay,
has to do with the life that she's carrying.
I'm just,
And that's the
Gentlemen,
baby.
let Mr. Harold, let Mr. Westcott make his point, and then I'll give you an
I'm going to
opportunity
be very, very brief.
to speak.
If we think that this resolution will have any effect on the number of abortions anywhere, we are sadly mistaken. This resolution has zero bearing, has zero effect on anyone's ability to perform an abortion, which is legal in Arkansas, in the city of Russellville. Doesn't affect that. So, I do have a question, and I don't mean to be sarcastic. If this issue is about women's health, about women who are pregnant and perhaps don't know what to do, what seems to be the cause? What's the cause of all these unplanned pregnancies that we're trying to deal with? If I'm not mistaken, it's because certain men lack self-control. They lack honor and self-control. But instead of coming up with a resolution that would direct our thoughts towards promoting that, honor and self-control in the men who live here, we're going to say, okay, ma'am, here's what you need to do with your body. A man created an issue for you, and now here's how we're going to tell you to deal with it. When is that proper? If we were to come up with a resolution that would declare all Russellville men are to demonstrate honor and self-control and blast it on a billboard, the men would tell us to stick it in our ear. And they should, because it's none of my business. The ones who vote for this, I'm sure they mean well, but they don't know you. They don't know your situation. They don't know what's going on in your family. They don't know your opinion. They don't know anything about you. And they couldn't care less, probably because they never asked you. They may love Russellville, but they just don't love you. They just don't love you, not if you don't fit. So if we really want to help people tonight, we've got a couple of things we could do. We could leave this alone and mind our own business. Or we could declare Russellville a pro-vasectomy city, and the sponsor of this be the first in line. I'm done.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Yes, sir. Before, and I want to thank Mr. Harrell for bringing our speaker tonight, but in light of this thing and all my considerations going into this thing, I was not going to vote for it, but I give a shout out for what I heard, and I've had a change of heart and change of mind. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Caruth,
No.
Mr. Tripp,
Yes.
Mr. Westcott,
No.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Keller. It's 4-3.
4-3.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-3.
Counts 4-3. The mayor will cast a vote in the affirmative. Motion passes. Item number 2.
Thank you.
Consideration of an ordinance providing animal rescue organizations to claim certain banned breeds of animals from the Animal Control Department under certain conditions. Amending Ordinance 1671, the City Animal Control Code, and for other purposes, submitted by Mr. Harris. What is the desire of the council in relation to this ordinance?
Mayor, I'd like to read by title and title only. Make a motion to read by title and title only.
For the first of three readings?
Excuse me, for one and one time only.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second from Mr. Tripp, is that correct? Mr. Westcott, thank you. To read by title only, read one time, suspend the rules, dismiss with the reading requirements, read by title only, one time the first of the one and only reading. Okay. All right, got it. All in favor, I'm used to Mr. Westcott because he always says it just perfectly, so. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance providing animal rescue organizations to claim certain banned breeds of animals from the Animal Control Department under certain conditions, meaning ordinance number 1671, the Animal Control Code, and for the purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would make the amendment to the current Animal Control Code by adding provision to allow an animal rescue organization to claim a pit bull after the 3-day time period from when the owner is to claim the animal, and to comply with certain conditions such as a reclamation fee and an affidavit that the animal be relocated out of the city, and sign a waiver of liability, as well as having the dog marked in case it turns up again in the city, and also spayed or neutered.
Motion to adopt.
I have a motion to adopt. Do I have a second? Second, discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, recognizing the need to assist animal rescue with the adoption of these animals, I move that we enact the emergency clause.
Okay, I do have a motion to enact the emergency clause. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Brown. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 3, consideration of a resolution for the rehab by agreement or removal or raising of an unoccupied dilapidated structure. This property is at 816 Greenwich Avenue. You do have the information in your packet for consideration, council, with pictures. What is the desire of the council?
Motion to adopt.
I do have a motion to adopt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Brown. Is that correct?
Yes.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, consideration of a resolution setting a public hearing for the vacation of an easement of the city of Russellville, Arkansas, and for other purposes. What is the desire of the council?
Motion to adopt.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, consideration of a resolution granting a license in land to Randy Ellis for use of a portion of the city's right-of-way, submitted by Barrett and Associate on behalf of Feltner's Whataburger. This is property right behind Feltner's that is a right-of-way. I understand it has some utilities and things of that nature, so that it doesn't give us really a good way to abandon that right-of-way, but we are giving them conditions of use. So what's the desire of the council?
Motion to adopt.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, consideration of a resolution granting a special use permit to allow warehousing inside the storage facility, storage only and for other purposes, submitted by Perihelion Solar on behalf of Tim Carr. What is the desire of the council?
Motion to adopt.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, consideration of a resolution setting public hearing for vacating a portion of East 4th Street, right-of-way between Lot 7 to 12 and Lot 2. What is the desire of the council?
Motion to adopt.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second from Mr. Brown. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, consideration of a resolution setting a public hearing for the vacation of an easement in the city of Russellville, submitted by Barrett and Associates, recommended unanimously by the Planning Commission. What is the desire of the council?
Motion to adopt.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second from Mr. Brown. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, consideration of a resolution setting a public hearing for the vacation of 15 feet on each side of South Greenwich Avenue between East 5th Street and East 6th Street in the city of Russellville. What is the desire of the council?
Motion to adopt.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Okay, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, consideration of an ordinance rezoning certain realty in the city of Russellville, Arkansas, submitted by Barrett and Associates on behalf of Wayne and Victoria Baldwin. What is the desire of the council?
Mayor, I move that we suspend the rules, dispense with the reading requirement, read the first of 3 readings by title with a short explanation.
I do have a motion. Second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Brown. This is a motion to suspend the rules, dispense with the reading requirements, read by title only with a short explanation, and this is the first of 3 readings. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
In order to rezone certain realty in the city of Russellville, Arkansas, and for other purposes, this ordinance, if passed, would rezone property currently R2 to R3 that's located in 2604 West 12th Street, identified by the Polk County Assessor's Office, parcel number is 854-00087-022C, as further described and shown in the aerials and legal description that are labeled with the ordinances Exhibits A, B, and C.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Item number 11, consideration of a resolution establishing the fees and costs for the Russellville Oakland Cemetery and for other purposes.
Motion to adopt.
Have a motion? Second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Brown. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned. Look at that. Oh, my God.